Welcome back into Bengals Breakdown. Once again, Stone Shields on hand. Appreciate you guys tuning in. The Bengals have made some more roster moves today, and that's going to be the focus of today's show. Some practice squad additions and re-signing Trayveon Williams. Williams was released yesterday by the team, but we warned you guys it was kind of just some roster gymnastics that the Bengals were working through, and it was only a matter of time before he comes back. And that's what happens today as Trayveon Williams is re-signing with the Cincinnati Bengals and will be their running back 3 for the time being. So that's kind of the main news to get away from today's show. Trayveon Williams will be back with the team, and we're going to spend some time talking about that. But first, make sure you guys hit that sub button if you haven't already. That's youtube.com/BengalsTV. We are 67 subs away from a channel record. So that's big stuff there. Help us out. Hit that sub button. Hopefully we can do it with this video alone. 67 subscribers would be awesome. So hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. So here's what the Bengals running back depth chart looks like currently right now. Trayveon Williams is back. No Samaje Perine. Of course, he is signing with the Kansas City Chiefs, which is kind of unfortunate of all places for him to go. He's signing with Kansas City. A little bit more on that a little bit later. But Trayveon Williams does come back. He's done really well in his time with Cincinnati. He's been in the league several years. He is a veteran. The Bengals like what he can do. He's a reliable guy. He's a guy on special teams that they can look to as well. And it was a little concerning that he played so deep into the preseason finale against the Indianapolis Colts. Zach Taylor just kind of said he deserved this opportunity to go out there and play that much, kind of solidify himself on the roster. So that's exactly what happens. Trayveon Williams will be back with the Cincinnati Bengals. And, I think a lot of people were kind of hoping that the Bengals were going to add a different running back, which they did to their practice squad. We'll get into that a little bit on today's show. But the Bengals, for now, are rocking with Trayveon Williams as their running back 3. Which leads us to the pinned comment of today's show. Would you have added Samaje Perine? Kind of brought him up a little bit earlier on. I think a lot of people in Cincinnati wanted to see that reunion. I certainly did, but he goes to Kansas City. So sound off for us in the comments. Would you have added Samaje Perine? Type Y for yes or N for no. If that ad comes here on YouTube, that's fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comments and let us know what you think. So another move that happened today is McKinnley Jackson went to IR for the Cincinnati Bengals. We kind of speculated that this would be the move in terms of why Trayveon Williams was released, kind of the gymnastics that they had to go through. The Bengals, of course, had 2 designations to their short-term IR in Myles Murphy and Brad Robbins. I think a lot of people expected McKinnley Jackson to be that guy instead of Brad Robbins, but Zach Taylor kind of had some optimism that he would be able to be a factor for the Bengals throughout the first 4 weeks of the regular season, but that news officially switches today, and Jackson has to miss the first 4 games for the Cincinnati Bengals because he is on IR, and after that, he will be eligible to come back and play for the Bengals. And this is a big blow for Cincinnati because, he was a 3rd-round pick that the Bengals kind of were expecting to have a role. He's a really massive guy. We've talked at length about how that interior of the defensive line is kind of thin for the most part. And, we'll see what Sheldon Rankins and B.J. Hill can do. Obviously, the Bengals have a lot of confidence in B.J. Hill. But it would have been nice to have McKinnley Jackson in the rotation early on. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. He still just isn't ready to go. He'll get kind of eased into things, and he will miss the first 4 weeks of the regular season. So that certainly is something that is noteworthy and something to consider. I want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Factor Meals because they are the sponsor of today's show. With football season about to take off, look, guys, I don't have time to cook. That's why I use Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Head to factormeals.com/BengalsChat50 and use code BengalsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code BengalsChat50 at factormeals.com/BengalsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. So this is what the Bengals are going to be rolling with at that defensive tackle position. We will make a note there that McKinnley Jackson is going to be on short-term IR and miss those first 4 games for Cincinnati. So right now, you're looking at 5 guys at that position. Sheldon Rankins, again, a guy that the Bengals acquired in free agency, is really going to have to step up and play well for the Bengals. We haven't heard much about him. We haven't seen much from him. But he's a guy that's proven in this league. The Bengals are giving him a good chunk of change to go out there and produce for Cincinnati. And he's a guy that's going to really have to step up, especially when it comes to that run defense, right? Because DJ Reader was such a solid guy at that position for Cincinnati and was amazing in the run game. So when you think about kind of how the run game is going to look, you kind of lack some size there. Chris Jenkins isn't the biggest guy, at that position. B.J. Hill isn't necessarily a massive human being either. So all those guys are going to have to step up and certainly help the Bengals in terms of stopping the run. So leads us to another opportunity for you guys to get interactive in the comments section. What's your concern level over the run defense? I think it's something that I'm certainly worried about, and I think a lot of people out there that are Bengals fans are worried about that as well. So scale it for us, 1 to 10 in the comments section. What is your concern level over the Bengals run defense? Bengals also officially announced 4 practice squad signings. So we'll make a note that the Bengals practice squad is currently full at 16 players. Tashawn Manning is the first guy that the Bengals announced. He is a guard, interior offensive lineman. He's a first-year player out of Kentucky, originally signed with Baltimore as a college free agent, and spent his entire rookie season on the Ravens practice squad. So that's certainly a guy that could potentially, if something happens to one of the guys on the 53-man, be brought up and expected to have some sort of a role with the team. This is my favorite one right here. Kendall Milton, of course, played his college ball at Georgia, 2-time national champion. He really saw his kind of playing time increase his last year with Georgia. And, they kind of had a 2 running back system going, but he put up some really good numbers, ran for a lot of yards. I believe he had 12 touchdowns as well. So he's a really solid guy to have as a running back on your practice squad. He's a guy that's been around winning, of course, playing under Kirby Smart. Great locker room guy, great culture guy. So I'm really excited that the Bengals bring him in. And who knows, if something happens to a running back, I have a lot of confidence in Kendall Milton being able to shine as a rookie. Really great practice squad addition there by Cincinnati. Isaiah Thomas, you knew that we, of course, talked about the guys that they brought on yesterday, but you knew some of those last 3-4 spots were going to be guys on the defensive line. Isaiah Thomas is one of those guys for the Bengals that will be brought on as a part of their practice squad. Was drafted by Cleveland, spent some time with them, played a decent amount as a rookie, spent the entirety of last year on the practice squad. So there you have it, Isaiah Thomas. And also Justin Rogers, the Bengals making that official today. We brought that to your guys' attention yesterday with Todd Archer kind of breaking that news. But Justin Rogers from the Dallas Cowboys out of Auburn. He was a 7th-round pick in this year's draft. So the Cowboys had to let him go. Bengals swoop in and add him to their practice squad. So grade the Bengals practice squad for me in the comments section. How do you feel about those 16 guys that are going to be back and be part of the team in some capacity? A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off for us in the comments of today's show. And kind of just want to bring this back up to your guys' attention before we get out of here. These are the first 6 guys that the Bengals are bringing back to their practice squad. Again, we announced this yesterday. All of these guys were with the Bengals, through camp. Jalen Davis, really excited to have him back on the practice squad. Has been a solid player for the Bengals. And Cam Grandy, obviously that tight end room is really, really deep with 5 guys. But they like Grandy a lot, too, as that 6th guy, and they wanted to have him come back. And I personally really like Cole Burgess. If some injury happens, I would like to see him get an opportunity. Undrafted wide receiver, played at a really small school, put up crazy numbers, and I really like that kid. So really happy to have him back on the practice squad. And the other 6 guys, I think Shaka Hayward is probably the best player on this list. If it weren't for the emergence of Muma Jongmeta, I think he would have made the team. For Cincinnati, Trey Hill comes back. Matt Lee obviously beats him out for that backup center position behind Ted Karras. And then bringing Logan Woodside back. I think it makes sense considering that he was just, with the team. He understands the scheme. He understands what it is they're trying to do. So guess it kind of makes sense for him to be that third quarterback, at least for now, just because he was with the Bengals throughout the entirety of the offseason and got a ton of playing time in the preseason, even though he didn't play up to the standard in which he had probably hoped.